Alright, so we're going to be going over some external and internal shark structures. So we can see that the shark's body is streamlined. This is called fusiform. It helps the shark glide through the water easily. Sharks also have paired appendages. These are their fins. Its paired appendages are characteristic of true fish. So there's the dorsal fin, posterior dorsal fin, caudal fin, pectoral fins, and then this pelvic fin. And these help the shark maneuver in the water column. So male sharks also have this clasper fin here, and we'll talk about that more in a later slide. So shark skin feels like sandpaper because it's made up of many very small scales made up of dentin, which is like similar to the enamel in our teeth, which is unlike bony fish who have scales made up of bone. So for sensory organs, sharks have what's called a linear line, which includes all these small pores that run up and down the shark's body from head to tail. And these are pressure sensors, so the shark can detect their prey in kind of like any direction around their body. So they also have ampullae of Lorenzini, which is a sensory structure kind of in the snout of the shark, and these detect voltage differences in their prey. So on this slide, we can see the gills here. Water enters the shark through either their mouth or these holes, which are called spiracles. The spiracles are on either side of the shark's head behind the eyes. And this is a second entrance for when the shark's mouth is closed. And so the water enters the shark and goes into these gill chambers where the water is, or where gas exchange occurs, and then the oxygen pore water exits the shark through these gill slits. Sharks also have these large eyes, which reflect light at nighttime like a cat, and it gives them pretty good night vision. So here we can see the shark's nostrils. They do not function in gas exchange and do not connect to the mouth cavity, but are a sensory structure that can smell their prey. Here is the mouth of the shark, the jaws. This is a key adaptation for sharks because it allows them to eat larger and a wider variety of prey. Now, in this picture, these are the clasper fins. We can see a bit more clear. Only male sharks have them, and they're responsible for the transfer of sperm from the male shark to the female shark. And up here we have the cloaca, probably in here somewhere. The cloaca is the exit of the urogenital and digestive system. It is at the base of this pelvic fin. So for internal structures, we have the coelom, which is a body cavity that encases all the internal organs. What makes sharks different from a lot of fish is that they do not have a swim bladder. Instead, the oil inside of their body is used for buoyancy. When you first cut open a shark, you're most likely to first notice this large organ structure. This is all the liver of the shark. It has 3 lobes, and it produces bile for digestion and stores fat, which is useful for buoyancy. Now on this middle lobe is also the gallbladder, which is a green sac-like structure that also produces bile for fat digestion. And then here's the bile duct that runs to the intestine. Let's see. And then here, this is the stomach of the shark. It's J-shaped and is a very large muscular digestive organ. The pharynx and the esophagus lead into the stomach. So here we have the intestine. So what separates the stomach from the intestine is the pyloric valve. The intestine has spiral valves, which increase the surface area, which increases nutrient absorption. At the end of the intestine is the colon, which is where water reabsorption occurs. For internal reproductive structures, the testes would be on either side of the colon. For the female, the ovaries would be on the sides of the mid-dorsal line, and there would be a large uterus structure. That'd be pretty obvious. There's 3 types of gestation in sharks. There's oviparous, which is when the shark lays eggs and they hatch completely separate from the shark. And then there's viviparous, or viviparous, sorry. And that's when the shark pups mature inside of the uterus and they have an umbilical cord. This is very similar to mammals. And then there's oviviparous, which is kind of a combination of the two, where the shark eggs mature inside of the female, and they have a yolk sac that supply them nutrients, and then eventually those eggs hatch inside the female, and she gives birth to live pups. So here we can see the pancreas. It usually connects the stomach right by the pyloric valve, and the pancreas functions in, the pancreas secretes digestive enzymes as well as insulin into the bloodstream. And then on the side of the pancreas is the spleen, and this gray organ functions more in the immune system, and it's basically like kind of a blood filter. Here we have the rectal gland. This is unique to sharks, and it doesn't occur in other invertebrates. It takes the salt out of the shark system, or removes the salt. And then sharks have long linear kidneys that run along the backbone, and these kidneys also function in osmoregulation. So here we have the internal gill structures. This is what I was talking about, where water would come into the shark through the mouth or spiracles into these gill cavities, and then leave the shark out of the gill slits. But in the middle of the shark, on either side of in the middle of the gills, is the heart. Sharks have a closed circulatory system with a 2-chambered heart, which is the least efficient kind of heart, with 4 chambers being the most efficient kind. The heart is inside of a pericardium, which is a protective sac. And right now we're looking at the ventricle, and beneath this is the atrium. Alright, and that concludes our major internal and external shark structures.